in an unkind way, but anyway, we thought it'd be a good time just to get together and talk about some of our memories and experiences. So Jan will give you the meeting so you can get started here.
Okay. Hey, would you call Cliff?
Yes.
I'm surprised they're not here. Okay, well, I guess I kind of spearhead the history part of this museum along with several other people. And I'm always digging at everybody. Give me your history. Tell me your stories. Give me your family history. And so I've gotten Jerry's and I've gotten Dolores's and I've talked to 60 a little bit. So that's my interest and that's what I do. But I love to hear your stories. And if you think of something later on, feel free to give us a call. Or if you come across an old picture that we could copy, we'd love to have that for our museum. And basically today is just to have a conversation about growing up in Georgetown and the stories that maybe you heard from your grandparents. And just things that there's a lot of gaps. We want to fill in some of the gaps. As we know, Mary Stark was an excellent historian, and her and Don Brown put together our famous book, which was a legacy to us to have all that information. But there's a gap from about the 1976 to today, and nothing's been recorded. And a lot has changed downtown. A lot of businesses are no longer here. So we kind of want to see if we can fill in some of the gaps based on everybody's comments and go from there. So welcome, glad you came. Appreciate it. I appreciate everybody's interest in the town history.
We all remember down in the basement at the high school, all them wet towels hanging down there. Remember the janitors washed the towels from all the athletes and all that, and hung them old white stinking wet towels all over, and we ate our lunch in there.
You ate your lunch with the wet
Don't
towels?
you remember all them towels hanging there?
Oh, gosh.
I remember.
Of course, this was in the 50s. Some of you are younger than that.
Well, I didn't know that.
I mean, Homer Cornwell was one of them, one of the janitors. The janitors washed the
Yeah, Homer,
towels.
yeah, Homer,
Uh-huh.
and Dwight Hayworth,
Well, he was before that, I think.
Dyke Cornwell.
Dwight Cornwell,
Homer Cornwell,
yeah,
that's the one I remember.
yeah,
Does
Homer.
anybody remember the canning factory?
The who?
Yeah, canning factory shop in the picture.
The what?
The
Canning factory,
right there where the old IGA was.
They canned tomatoes, didn't they?
I lived next
Yeah.
door to that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
they canned tomatoes. I worked down there.
I think it went from a livery stable to a canning factory.
Yeah, before that was.
And then a
I don't
grocery
I
store.
don't remember that part, but
yeah,
before.
something like that, yeah.
See, I lived next door, and Heine Henshin had a repair shop in there
Yeah.
before it became a tomato factory, and they brought the Mexicans up to fix them and brought them over. The East had them. Don East was a little bit older than me, and I don't know why on the sign for the filling station that was down there, the one that had it first was.
There's a DX station,
was the one on
across
that side of the
from where
street.
the IGA, the old IGA was.
Yeah, that Henshin had that station, Heine Henshin, and his name is not up there. No, he had the, I'm wrong, he had the garage, the car repair, but
Heine
the
Henshin
filling
had,
station
Heine
belonged
Henshin
to.
had a place on
Yeah.
7th and Main, the garage, like you're talking about.
Many inches, I remember that.
The filling station was whose?
Jack Janis.
Yeah.
The filling station, because he had a phone.
Clemson's grandpa,
And if you want to call anyone,
Speed's
we'd go
grandpa.
down and.
Yeah, no, that was
At the
Pete's
filling station,
uncle.
because no,
Uncle.
most people didn't have a phone.
Now, you
What
think
year would that have been, Dolores?
down on South Main on the,
And Manning were brothers.
West
Yeah.
side,
Yeah.
yeah.
That good to know.
I was pretty young, so it would have been early fifties.
Early 50s?
Jack Dunn.
Or at,
And everybody went to
40s.
Jack Dunn's station to use the phone?
yes, Dunn was
No.
next.
Yeah,
Not Jack Dunn, it was Jack
Jack
Chance.
Dunn.
Oh, Jack
First was
Chanis.
Jack Chanis,
Yeah,
then Dunn.
And then Dunn.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, Weaver had it before Dunn's.
What about the theater?
Okay.
But,
Well,
but the thing is, Bud, you worked at that canning factory, didn't you?
Yeah.
You were in high school.
okay,
I think
because
anybody did.
I think a lot of local people worked,
Being the reader boy, I don't know if you remember the readers, but,
Oh, from all of that?
all of them weren't they?
okay.
Four
Well,
boys.
I know when we talked to Max Call, him and friends picked tomatoes
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
them. And he was telling us that there was a blight that killed the tomatoes, and then they couldn't grow them here anymore.
Huh.
And so they closed down the factory.
You remember the people that owned that?
Wow.
Omer East?
Huh?
Omer East.
Uh-huh.
He was the
East.
boss
Yeah,
there.
Yeah.
yeah.
Don
He
was
ran
in my
he was
age.
from
ran
Texas.
the tomato factory, yeah.
Who owned it, Omer who?
Huh?
East,
Omer
Don
East.
E-A-S-T.
East.
E-A-S-T.
And he was a real good guy too, and his wife was a good.
And his son could play the marimba with it covered. Used to do that.
I thought you were gonna say play it with his toes.
Marimba.
Uh-huh.
What's marimba?
The, thing like this with the tubes across the top,
Oh.
or things across the top, you hit them with, a little stick.
Mallet.
Who remembers, Shorty's barber shop?
I remember that.
Shorty, yeah.
But one of the things I really enjoyed was Saturday night. There was no television.
Huh?
There was no television. So everyone went downtown and visited. And I remember walking with my dad with my arm up like this every Saturday night. We'd go down and talk with everyone.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah. They had band
It was a
concerts
social
Yes.
night, wasn't it?
downtown on Saturday.
Remember that?
Do you
We
remember
didn't live in, we didn't
It
come,
was a social
the band
night, wasn't
concerts
it?
we didn't
on
move
the
to
interurban, or
Yeah.
that was before your time?
Oh,
Six-
Well, I'm gonna.
Jerry's a lifer.
A lot of what my dad told me.
Your
He
dad?
said he used to play and.
I don't wanna tell all
In
that,
the,
he was,
you know, thing, that talk, they said he was in the band, they played, play music on Saturday night.
Interurban.
They used to have band concerts back with the,
But
by
yeah,
the
they had
library,
band concerts up there.
right there where the
By the
library is.
library?
They
Okay.
had, quite a few churches, they had quite a few taverns, quite a few schools. Had seminary,
Mhm.
Fraser, junior high, high school, had one out east of Georgetown School,
Wingard?
Wingard School,
Where did you go to grade school, 60?
seminary,
You went to
seminary on East Seminary Street.
Okay.
I could see where the tomato blight would be a serious problem.
I don't remember that part.
Employment.
I always wondered why Ridge Farm had a tomato festival every year. Even me as a kid went there. I think my mom was a candidate for Tomato Queen one year. And I was like, what's the deal about all the tomatoes? You know, because they didn't have tomatoes when I was around, but that's
Yeah.
why, because it originated in
And
that
up
factory.
at Fraser School, they had a subway, you had to walk down underneath the road.
Yeah, we did too.
But do you remember, I'm talking about tomatoes again, when I was a child, we lived in the country in Indiana, and we would go past Dixie Newberg's farm. in
Yeah,
Kansas,
right.
And they had Mexicans working there
Yes, they
picking
did.
tomatoes. They were always picking tomatoes, you know.
Well, they had Mexicans that run the tomato factory.
Oh, did they?
Right.
where did they live?
They stayed at my great-grandfather's house and, tore up the floor and burned it to keep warm.
I imagine.
Where was that house, Dolores?
Archie Gustafson, you know where he lives?
Archie Gustafson?
It's right next to Elwood. There was a thing that you'd climb over the fence, and they were a little bit south and a little bit east of, what's the name of the church out there again?
Liberty,
Yeah,
Liberty Church on 234.
yeah, down.
Mm-hmm. But I thought they had tents too, didn't they? I
I
thought I
think
saw
they did.
tents out
Yeah.
there where they
I
lived
think you
in.
did.
You remember the tents out there, Rick, where the Mexican lived?
No, I don't remember, no.
You you lived a very sheltered life.
Well, he lived on a nice
Chester
You wanna sit over
had
there?
a Ford dealership.
Yeah, and where was that at, 60, do
About
you
where
remember?
about where the,
not.
fire station is, the old fire station used to be.
Where the old fire station was? Okay.
Right in there somewhere.
Now, was he, I know that, Methy had a car dealership and a garage, I believe where the plastic factory
Yeah, I was gonna
was.
say that plastic,
Was he in with Tester or they're separate?
that I do not know.
That building is still there, and it's, just after the first turn, coming from the square, the first turn left, that building is still there, that was Chesla's.
The old plastic factory or a
No,
different?
it was south of the square.
Going south?
South of the square.
Oh,
Of the
okay.
bank,
I
and the
see.
building is still there.
What was that?
Oh, yeah, okay, I
Isn't that
know.
where,
South of, just south of where the bank
Chesterfield,
is.
you mean? Yeah, but there was somebody else, and I could think of the
They
name
had,
until I saw
Reichert
it.
was there after Chesla.
Reichert, yes, Reichert.
Okay.
And then Nemrick was there, wasn't
Yeah.
Isn't that where the fire department, didn't they have a place around there close?
Right
Around
the other end of the block, maybe?
Oh, I remember.
The
It was
fire
like-
station, you mean?
It used to be right, or maybe it was ambulance, but it used to be right across from IGA.
Yeah.
Yes, it was right on the corner,
Yeah.
right next to the French church.
But
The ambulance used to be
at Houghton.
Houghton, yeah, that's what she said.
Because on
Oh.
occasion, when we lived, the building Grandpa Fazio built across from the post office, they would come to our house thinking that's where they got the ambulance.
Uh-huh.
And it had people just walk in the house, not knock or anything, cause they thought it was the city hall.
Oh.
You see how they run the old
Yeah,
ambulance,
blues,
so when they
Yeah.
brought the church in, hers in to take you to the hospital, they didn't know they was gonna take you to the home, to take you to the hospital.
Yeah, right.
One of the things I wanted to mention was,
That's Peter, I just remember old Josie, you know?
And the water tower used to be right behind the Nazarene church.
Yeah, but things still.
Yeah, I remember that,
Yeah.
yeah.
Poster there, that's all.
at the end of World War II, of course, everybody knows about, Charlie Spang.
Yeah,
And at the end
Down
of
the
World War
poles.
II, a parade started with a bunch of cars, and Charlie was sitting on the hood of the first car, beating a bass drum.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Do you remember when
I can
Charlie
believe that.
Spang chopped all the telephone poles down along Main Street there?
I
For some reason, I don't know.
they were too close to the
Huh?
road.
Well, to keep electricity poles, so there wouldn't be electricity poles
yeah.
He didn't-
blocking
he
the
didn't want-
street.
He was like that, you know?
He didn't want the ugly poles up there, so
Yeah.
he made them run them down the alley, and they didn't wanna do that, but.
I didn't know how true that story was.
It was true.
I've heard
His daughter Ann
Yeah.
Smith told me she was very embarrassed. It made the papers and he went
Oh,
to
yeah.
courts. It
Yeah,
was
he
quite a
didn't
big
care.
deal. Yes,
I bet he didn't care.
yes.
Well, I can remember when I worked right downtown Danville, when I first started working for Grobby, you know, Grobby.
Oh, yeah.
Our office was at the First National Bank building.
Well, you didn't know
Which
what
went up
Charlie
the
was gonna
street to
do.
go to
You
Penny's or
don't do
Sears.
anything.
All the downtown was full of businesses at the time.
Yes.
And I went up and along about in front of Charlie's was a car with his donkey in the doggone car. And he was standing on the sidewalk and here was Charlie and his donkey, sure as the world. I mean, he was just as calm about it, that was just everyday life for him.
They
He thought
say,
it,
You
I mean,
talking
when
about
you've heard the
Charlie Spang?
expression,
And
you
his
think
donkey?
outside the box, he thought outside the box.
He took that donkey up to Chicago, remember, that convention up there?
Yeah.
I remember the donkey as a kid, so that continued quite a while. I
Hotels up
remember
there,
that
hotels
donkey.
up there.
Stories was that he took them telephone poles
Oh, yeah.
out of the basement, stuck them
He
in
was
the
something
furnace.
else.
Oh, yeah.
When they burn out, you keep on shoving
In his own
in
basement?
his own boy's basement. That's the stories.
I can believe that.
What was that? I didn't hear that.
yeah, I've read that somewhere, it might have been
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
else's thoughts, but.
I remember
I can believe
Charlie,
anything
I
that
was
was said.
very old, but at CSB.
Cause he went to Methodist
all
church
the
and we
old
did
guys
too.
would get together and
But he had
eat,
calmed
and
down a
they'd
lot by
leave.
then.
He would go around and pick up all the toast and jelly that they didn't use and,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, goodness, wow. Yeah.
That went to his donkey.
He was a character, but he fought hard for Georgetown, I think, to get us things as a mayor and
Yeah.
to not have telephone poles.
So what was at McMaster's car lot before it was that? McMaster's was on Mill Street.
It was an old mill,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
it was a mill.
That's where Spain's
Oakley
Mill
McMaster's was.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a mill in there?
Kind of right next to
I was
it.
trying to think who it
Just a little
is.
bit east of it, the little mill,
I forgot who ran
Up on it.
But the car lot was a
right
car
there across,
dealership.
just
McMaster's.
west of the lumberyard.
Cause there was quite a hill there.
Lumberyard's what Linhart is now,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
the old lumberyard. And,
Spent a lot of time
the
in there.
mill was
driving
just
nuts.
west of it,
Yeah.
Do you remember the mill 60? Do you?
yeah.
Trying to remember what year they tore that down.
I don't remember that, but, no, 'cause they had a hill, that go climb up the hill and went through the, where they stopped, while they was hauling and go off, and they go on down the other side.
We saved the check.
Where was that? Where was the mill?
Over there by Jim.
Come here, come here, come here, come here.
Remember?
It was on Mill
You know where the
Street.
mill was?
I said, I hate to talk about death, but do you remember the night that, down at the dam, that Junior Jones drowned?
Yes.
Yes.
Anybody remember that?
Oh,
Yeah, I went down to watch it.
He was,
Georgetown Dam.
he was caught in that trough over there, that fish trough over there, and Everett Hoggett, and, the guy that owned the, or that run the waterworks,
Richards.
they went out there and got him, and that water was
Ralph
straight
Richards.
across,
Oh, yeah.
straight across the dam.
Should've never done that.
And what year would that have been?
Well, right before, around, in the 50, 51, something like
Yeah,
that.
he was a
He was still in
sophomore in
school
high
at
school,
the
I
time.
think.
Oh, really?
I remember that, it was really
You know
Ralph
that?
Richards.
Yeah, Ralph Richards,
They
Everett
walked-
Everett Hoggett.
What did he do? He tried to walk across it, or?
Is that what he did, Bud? He tried to walk across the
I
dam
don't know
or
what
what?
happened.
You don't know
But
how
that
he
water
fell
was
in?
so high, just straight across the dam.
I thought he just went out there and went swimming.
That's
Oh,
what
yeah,
I,
he did
that's
go
what I
down.
heard too, yeah.
Gee,
He
Dad
did
took
go
us
swimming.
down there, we was only yay high. So it was probably in the late forties.
The current just took him down down.
Yeah,
you know.
very strong current.
Did you go swimming down there?
Well, they used to,
Did you go down
yeah,
to go swimming?
but he,
No, we didn't go down
he,
there swimming.
he
We went
could
down
see
there
them
where
whirling like that, why he
Ginger
done
Drive.
that?
Oh, I see.
When you talk about that walk across that dam, when Jess Pritchett was ahead of the city, and my boy walked across it, Al, and I think Brownie, boss man looked at me and I said, George, I said, they don't pay me to walk across there. So I didn't walk across.
Sometimes there wasn't any water, so.
We used to walk across that dam with, go dam, you know.
Yeah.
We used to walk across there all the time.
Does anybody remember another death there? And this would have been probably early 60s, because I was about 5, 6 years old.
You mean down at the dam?
Well, it was down at the river. I think the guys were out in a boat, maybe cutting down trees or something, and a tree fell on someone. I remember because we were all down there skiing, you know, everybody had their boats and we were down
Railroad
there.
track or something.
Well,
Yeah, and they made all the women and kids go up to the sportsman's clubhouse there on the
Yeah.
hill while they brought the body in. But I just remember that somber quietness, and
Who was it? You don't know who it was?
I don't remember the name.
Lee Zielinski got killed out
Oh.
there fishing,
That
the
could
tree
have
fell
been.
on him.
So it was
Oh,
Leo
yeah.
Zielinski.
Lee
Lee,
Zielinski.
would that have,
Yeah.
what relation to Mrs. Zielinski? Yeah.
That was her brother-in-law. He lived where Susie Lawrence is.
Oh, okay, so
That
Mrs.
did
Zielinski
happen, I
might
remember.
teach her
Her
brother-in-law.
brother-in-law.
Wow,
She was our teacher too.
yeah, well, that's how.
She was my
I
teacher
never
too.
had her.
What was her name?
Vera Zielinski.
Yeah, I think she was
Yeah, she was my aunt.
a sub.
Oh,
She was a sub, you
I
said?
think so.
Her aunt.
and if you were a girl in her class, you got called Susie.
Susie
Do you remember her?
Everybody was Susie.
And the guys were Pedro.
Pedro, I don't remember Pedro. I just
Fifth
remember
grade.
calling him
You
Susie.
should.
It was like-
No, I wasn't in that class.
I hate to
Should.
mention
Mrs.
Jesse,
Mulholland?
but
I don't
before I was
remember a
born,
lot.
my brother got killed rabbit
Got killed what?
hunting.
Rabbit hunting?
Yeah, I shot him in the leg and he bled to death.
Oh, my God.
He shot himself, you mean, or someone shot
My
him?
sister was born
Someone
the
shot
same day.
Your sister was born the day he got killed. Oh, wow.
Good grief.
So it must be several years between the two.
Oh, yeah.
And he was just out rabbit hunting.
I don't know how that happened, but right down the railroad there.
Well, I think, wasn't he gonna try to save his dog? He knew the guy was gonna shoot his dog or something.
Yeah.
And he went to
Oh,
save the
that's
dog,
the way I
and
did it.
the other guy
They-
shot him.
Then what happened to
Oh.
Judy Jones?
Did something, I shot him, I don't know.
Or,
If it had a tourniquet, he'd probably live, you know. But that was
What we're
that
talking
one of
about,
Lewis
yeah.
boys got shot, something like that, and not,
Well, yeah, Wade Lewis's brother got.
well, yeah,
Yeah. Right, or squirrel, and all, yeah.
yeah, hunting and.
While we're talking about death, do any of you remember a 10-year-old boy in the 50s that got shot out hunting? My brother had a friend in school that about the 3rd grade or so, and he, I think it was on Christmas vacation, he, was in a hunting accident and it killed him. He was, my brother really was torn up about it, but you know.
I don't remember that one.
Was that
His name was
Georgetown?
Danny,
Dan?
Danny Jones, I'm thinking,
Uh-huh.
but I've never been able to find anything about it.
I'll tell you,
You remember Jerry?
I don't remember that, no.
You remember that, Clifford? You were boy, you were, guys were born in the 50s. In the 50s, you said?
I don't remember nothing like that. No, I wasn't born in the 50s, I was out of school in the 50s.
You'd have been, well, you
1
said
year ahead of
10
him.
years old and then.
Yes, sir,
You're
it would
older
have
than
been,
I am.
1950 would have been 10.
Yeah, well, let's
We're
forget that.
Well, they talk about 50s.
He was born about 1940.
They were talking about death.
Oh.
Well, let's talk about something more fun.
Yeah.
What do you remember about the Georgetown Fair and when it used to be down on the square,
Used to be on the square,
West
yeah.
West Street.
on West Street?
West
Oh,
West,
yeah.
It's all over in different places.
They blocked it off and that's where the carnival
Yeah.
set up. And them houses that's on, well, both sides really, wasn't even there, that's where the livestock shows was.
You mean on West Street?
Yeah.
Right across from where the high school.
Right behind
Oh,
you.
yeah, there was a
Yeah,
Raven did.
well, that's
Oh,
where the
yeah?
fair moved, their carnival and the fair moved there, and then they moved to Dyke Street. That was,
Yeah.
no houses was in there,
Yeah, it
so
was-
that's where it went. And then from there, it went to the park, and from the park to where they're at today.
I don't remember just the park, do you?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
only a year or two, wasn't it, at the park?
Probably 52, 53. And then it moved over, where's that now?
Well, in the park, years ago, do you remember going to see, outdoor movies, taking your blanket and everybody going
Had
to the
movies in
park?
the park.
Great show.
Free show.
And every Sunday's a baseball game.
Was there a pool at the
Yeah,
park?
mid-60s, they're good.
Yeah.
Folk there, wasn't they?
Cooney Road Blues had a baseball
Quite a
team.
bit
Oh,
of stuff
60s.
going in the park.
Sixties the catcher and I was the pitcher.
Yeah, but, Cooney Road Blues had a team, Georgetown team, or he's manager of the Georgetown team. And they play every Sunday at the, they rotate with other teams around town, now, you
Yeah.
know, Westwood, Danville.
Oh, they had a good, baseball team with Cooney Road Blues, one of the guys.
Them guys are professionals.
Yeah, I heard that name from Max Call.
Yeah,
He was quite a,
now Maxie played along with him.
He was an athlete, he was a good athlete.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, Max was.
Speaking of athletes, I contacted the principal of high school. Last Saturday, they had some kind of dinner, Friday, they had a dinner up there for the senior citizens. And, he was there and I told him, I said, I wanna see you before you leave here. He said, well, I got something for you too. I said, okay. Well, I went in after it was over with and he'd already left. So, I'm gonna go up and see him, but I don't know if you know, remember the year Georgetown High School went to the state basketball tournament?
Yes, I do. My brother was in it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And I've got a picture, I've got a small picture, but I want a bigger picture. And he said he had one hanging in the office and he'd run me a copy. And I'm gonna get it and we'll bring it down here.
There's one, it's in the gym there, right? We saw
the
it,
one with
it's
the
in the
state?
gym part.
That
Jan
would've
and
been
I saw it the other
54.
day.
Like the Sweet 16
Oh, yeah?
one.
We graduated in 55.
It was Kent was
No,
in
it
there
It was
too.
55.
Kent was in there and.
It was 54, wasn't it?
No, it was 55, cause I was at it, it's the year after I graduated. I
What year did you-
graduated 54.
You graduated 54?
Yeah. Cliff, do you remember the year they beat Danville, Georgia basketball?
Yes, I do, I was there.
My brother,
He was a
he
hero.
won the game.
Yeah.
He made,
We
it
keep
was
getting
tied,
it,
tied 60-60 at the end of the game. And some guy fouled, Ronnie before the,
He was on the
Bill.
rebound.
and he had 2 free throws, and he made them both.
Yeah.
That's
He gets
a good
razzed a
story.
lot about that. He was a good ball player.
All you got,
He hardly ever missed a free throw.
all you gotta do is ask him too.
You what?
You just ask Bill and he'll tell you.
I know he was.
I didn't see him, he's still around.
Yeah,
Oh, like when we go out for football, I said, and they used me for a football, it was always about 100 pounds, I think.
He
Okay,
was a good player.
someone asked about the theater earlier. Let's go back there again. What do you remember from the theater? Was it
I remember
Casey?
Josie, she liked to throw it. You remember
Bill.
Josie, don't you?
Bill
She
Grubman
was
was in the theater, in his wife.
Three out.
You didn't behave, you didn't stay in there long.
That's
She's
right.
always wanted to get Boogie Wriggle out there, you know?
Huh?
You remember Boogie Wriggle, don't you?
Yeah.
They always wanted to throw him out. Oh, boy.
Well, I know
I remember Boogie.
one thing happened to me at the theater.
Now, we didn't have no
Me
money,
and my
not,
twin brother, we got flashlights for Christmas one year. So we went to the thing, we shining all over the, on the screen and all over and everything, so we got our flashlight taken away from us.
no, back then, we never had no money, you know, so I'd go to Josie, I
heard
said,
that one.
Josie, I got no money, can you let me in? She said, you come second show, I'll let you in, she said. No, she did.
Who was that?
Josie, he said.
Josie.
You remember
You remember-
Josie?
She lived there on Walnut Street there, right there.
She was like the,
Josie Haypenny.
What's her last name?
Haypenny.
Bill
I
Grubman.
remember the Haypenny.
We lived
Yeah.
two houses south of her. When Gina and I would walk downtown, get groceries for Mom, and she was sitting on the front porch, she was right on the sidewalk.
Was that her name, Haypenny?
We get on the other side. You know, she was grouchy.
she was, I was surprised that she let that in.
Take your nickel down there at the theater every night.
You know where I lived there on Walnut Street? Right there where the parking lot.
Yeah,
Right in the corner there, parking lot.
yeah.
Nickel, we had to pay a quarter when I was a
That's
kid.
what I used to.
Ours was a dime.
That's tough.
I don't remember.
How much was it? Did it include, I remember how much it was, did it in the show?
Dime.
Oh, yeah.
Nine?
Her son, that's his son, he was here older than us. And he'd get in free, but he'd pay my ticket a quarter.
It depended some on what the movie was, that we went, how much it cost. Do you remember when they had the greatest show on earth here in Georgetown? The movie, The Greatest Show on Earth with Charlton Heston?
I can't remember what his name
It was very popular
Right
at
next
the
to the
time. They
theater, the
brought
guy
it to
worked on
Georgetown.
watches.
Yeah.
You know, above the Ben Franklin.
But I can't think of his name.
There was a stage up there.
I remember
Oh, yeah?
him.
Do you know who repaired watches there?
right next to the
Next to
theater.
the theater.
One side.
What was his name?
the
I
office on one of them.
can't remember his
What?
name.
Little jewelry.
One of them offices, you won't even pay your bills.
Then, there was Den's board.
Yeah,
They
Eleanor
use it.
Power.
remember
And
one
Al
of those
Crawford.
days.
Before I ever.
That was Eleanor Power where you paid your bills, right next to it.
That was a
Yeah,
long
that's
time
why I
ago.
said,
But we
I bet
stopped
Jan
trying to
doesn't
think
know
about
that.
did the watches and
What,
the
what do you
clocks.
say? I
that's why I
can't.
said right next to you, you won't even pay your
Yeah.
bills.
Okay, yeah.
Must have been
Other
front
other
one.
side, that,
Nice theater there.
watch
Oh,
repair.
different.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything about the theater in that building.
I know who you're talking about.
And there was a doctor's station up there too. In fact, I have the desk, but I know it had to be the doctor's
Oh,
because
okay.
it's as big as this table and the drawers are the length of the width of
wow.
that table.
Yeah,
I got
that's
things
fun to move.
I bet I've got stuff that's been in there 50 years.
Well, I know
I
there
got-
were several
Oh, you mean
businesses
the
that
upper
had
story
offices.
is anyway.
The upper story.
In the
is
upper
in
story.
Franklin.
And it,
I've
was
never
a
been up
dentist
there in
up
my
there
life.
too?
I was there several
I
times.
said, you're gonna come in a bit.
Many times, cause they stored stuff up there.
I got a blackboard from one of the schools.
Yeah.
I had one, somebody took it.
I wonder where that came from.
I got one of them laying out on my, like this, laying out on my, in my wood shop, I had to draw on it.
Big
when I had
slate,
one, so-
big old slate.
Slate blackboard, heavy?
Yeah,
Man.
always have.
Went out and took it, this one here, I got, took it out of seminary. They was gonna tear it down anyway, so.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's why my kids are similar.
You mean the
I
one
do
on the
too.
corner?
Mhm.
The housing project is
And
now.
I got,
Yeah.
got a couple of school desks.
I used to, I can make it to school on time, but I could hear the first bell run, I'd run across the street. That's all I had to do.
See, I went to junior
Did-
high in that building.
You didn't
It
wanna be
was
late,
good.
did you?
Yeah.
Okay,
Junior high
I think
was
my
in
No,
the
daughter-
I'm
senior
sorry.
building?
I'm sorry.
It was.
Yeah.
I went to junior high.
I went to first grade in that building, and they built Pinecrest School. And they made all the kids put everything from their desk in a bag, and they put your name on the bag, and you had to get on the bus and ride it down to the new school. So that was, that's how old that school is.
Yeah.
Huh.
What year was that?
Well, probably 1960,
Yeah, it was in the sixties,
yeah.
cause I think my daughter went there first or second year it was open.
When who got the fire escape? That's what I wanted. We played in
I
that
still
fire
love
escape
that
all
thing.
the time. That was so much
Did you,
fun.
you got to play in the fire escape?
Yeah.
Well, I
I
didn't
had
know
to sit
it.
on the baby chair because I played on the fire escape.
Oh, you got in trouble?
You went up to
I
one
don't
end.
know if it was that first
Up to one
week.
end.
Oh, yeah.
Gosh, I didn't think you
Oh.
would get nasty.
Jared Gadaskas, he used to clean that back there.
You just never know what's behind somebody.
And him and I,
Going
he
up
just
to
lived down the
put a
street.
piece of glass or something in there.
And him and I would
Yeah.
go into school.
Oh, we never went to school.
Oh, yeah, we
We'd
did.
crawl up there and slide down it.
We'd take a board out of the way and go in.
Well, you were on.
We didn't
class.
steal nothing though.
Just wrote on the board, "We were here."
Kilroy.
We played in gym.
I know my dad, he was on the school board 30-some years.
There's quite an
Well, when they-
article about
yeah.
him in that green
Yeah.
book. Yes.
When they tore that down, or before they tore it down, I knew the guy that was gonna do the tearing down. And I was lowering the ceiling in my basement. And, they had a couple of rooms there that they just put new up. So I went over one day and asked that guy, I said, hey, I'm looking for some ceiling tile. Care if I get some of that? He said, take it all.
Yeah, they got all.
So I did, and that's when I got my basement.
Huh. Did you have to take it down, or did he take it down
Oh,
for you?
yeah, I had to take it down. Yeah. I
Small
could at least
price
do
to
that.
Yeah, that stone I was talking about earlier had his dad on it. Secretary, I think, at the time.
The
Like
stone
the
from.
big cornerstone from Fraser School,
Yeah, his name was on it,
has
yeah,
the board members and
yeah.
that's what his name was on
Big
it.
old piece of Clark's was the name on there.
No one knows what happened to that cornerstone. I always assumed, there was always a rumor that it was a time capsule.
Smiths lived on the Mac, right back of us. Ike Birch right next to him.
Yeah.
The Smiths had 5 boys. And she wasn't going nowhere. And she rang the bell for the whistle, for the new whistle. And she was in charge of blowing it for a fireman.
Oh.
That was her duty. She was home all the time anyway, them 5 boys.
Yeah.
Yeah, Danny was the youngest, he and I graduated.
And Dale Smith.
Danny.
All the boys were.
What's the Smith's
Danny,
name?
Dale,
What's his
I
name?
know them all.
Yeah, tell us.
Well,
Every one of
What
them.
about him?
Dwight, Dean, Dale, or wait a minute, Dwight.
Dale was
Yeah,
your
you're right.
Yeah,
Dwight,
Dwight,
Dean, Dale, Danny, and,
Don.
I missed one somewhere.
Don.
Dwight,
Dwight.
Dean, Donald, Dale,
Donald, I
Danny.
meant, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Dale.
Smith boys.
Was captain of the Illinois football team.
yes, he was.
And
And there's another.
I'm pretty
one.
sure Georgetown is the only team in the state that's had 2 captains of the Illinois.
Yeah.
The Mexican school
You're
is
talking the University of
Yeah,
Illinois?
yeah.
You're talking the University of Illinois?
Yes.
Yes.
University of Illinois, yes.
Jan
He
isn't
played
Mac
football in the Navy.
But
Never
Who's
got
that?
out, he had still had
Muscus,
2 years
shoes
in
in there.
Who played what, Navy?
Navy.
Who?
Those
Dale.
football shoes, I
played with
think,
me.
are his.
I don't
Yeah.
remember that at all.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He gave me a picture, and I've got it hanging on my basement wall, of the chief, whatever year that was, I don't remember what year it was. A big picture.
Yeah.
About that big, of the chief at that time. I said, that thing be worth some money one of these days.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Me and
That's
Dale,
money
me
now.
and Dale worked the
Yeah.
plastic factory together a little bit.
Well,
You remember the plastic factory, was, you know?
yeah. What about it?
I said, me and him worked together right there at the plastic
Oh,
factory.
yeah?
Yeah, for a little bit, you know.
Yeah, man.
He was
Oh, yeah.
He was a good halfback, but he got beat out. Somebody did, he didn't play there for a while, you know.
Where, Illinois or?
Illinois.
Oh, yeah?
He went to the Army before he went to Illinois.
He's in the Navy.
The Navy, whatever he was at.
Oh, really?
He was in there and then he went to Illinois.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
He was a good football player.
Yeah. They were all good.
They were all football players, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about stories from the past that maybe your grandparents told you, or that you heard other people that were citizens here tell about where they came from, early years that they came here. Does anybody remember anything?
I don't remember what I said anything, but I've got their, whatever you call them things. Growing up, I've got both sides of my families. I got one of them. You said you wanted to see them.
Yeah, I want to.
And I'll bring it to you one of these days, I think about it.
I can remember the name. That long.
I know that Tana and Brenda and I have done quite a bit of research on early settlers, and Dolores, I spent a day at your house going through your stuff. Dolores's grandpa, Achilles Morgan, what came in 1820 with several of his family members. And when you start studying, you realize how many families were related to him. A lot of them came within the first 3 years.
That's why I couldn't do anything bad when I was out, cause everybody was my family, and they
That's
get home before I did.
And I didn't know you were related to him.
He was a surveyor, and his name is the first name on many of the, deeds.
What was his name, Dolores?
Achilles, Morgan, and Morgantown, they came from down there, and.
Yeah,
Fairmount.
Virginia?
Yes, West Virginia. And then Morgan, no, it wasn't Morgan girl, it was, Springer came through, the fort down there, and she's the one that.
Well, now, how are you related to run on down from the Morgans? Here's the Morgans now, where do you fit
Morgan,
in?
Hensley, and Hughes. My
Huh?
grandmother,
Morgan?
my grandmother Hughes was a Hensley, and, her mother was a Morgan. any of you seen her, poem that she wrote about the old area, all the different areas here?
Are you talking about Carrie or?
Carrie,
You owe me a poem, remember? You're supposed to
I
find
didn't
it.
give that to you? Well,
I got her picture in there.
it lists all the different places, like Meeks and, you know,
Mhm.
places that are no longer there. Well, in fact, Mom and Dad's house on the corner of Seminary and Clark Street was made of the Meeks house.
Oh, was it?
Cause when they built that, it was right after the war and all the fellows were building houses. And Dad and his family, the man and his family, tore down the Meeks house and put it in Mom and Dad's house. And you can tell the basement beam has, wax on it from a,
Is that
What was
in,
there that they tore down? What did they tear down to build their house? I didn't catch that.
the Meeks house.
Meek.
Meeks, M-E-E-K-S.
Meek Station?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
It
from
was a
Meek
big
Station,
two-story
out by
house
Forest
out
Green.
Right on the corner where your folks lived in.
Okay.
That's the house that is now the Meeks Wood, but out on the way to Forest Green.
Yeah.
The house was, there was a big two-story house there.
Oh, I thought you meant the house was there where they built their
No,
house.
no, it was out.
They tore it down that house and
They-
built this house.
Yeah, they tore down Meeks house.
Was Meek Station very much of a settlement or very much there?
I don't think so.
Just kind of a railroad?
But wasn't Meeks,
That's the only thing, there was an
He was-
elevator.
wasn't he in, government?
The
I
railroad
think he
go
was in the
through
government
Meeks?
somehow.
what's the
Did the
poem?
railroad go through Meeks Station?
Couldn't hear.
The
I think so,
poem, was
yeah.
it in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bicentennial
Usually
book?
an elevator
My-
or something.
Is it printed in there? It sounds familiar.
No, that had lots to
Carrie
do with
Elizabeth
Meeks.
Hughes, she
Railroad.
used to do a lot of writing, but she did use her name, it was a mere woman.
Oh.
And she wrote.
I'd like to have a talk with her.
And, anyway, she wrote many things, in fact, I don't think I brought those. But,
Quite a woman for her day.
and,
She was a publisher, I mean.
but it was interesting, all those old places where I've heard of them, don't know where all of them are, but she wrote a poem and included all those.
So Loris, I have a question for you, and talking about your folks' home in that area, which at that time probably wasn't any houses there at all, where,
Well, Sanders' house was there, well, and the one that Veronica Stevens lives in now. they were
Okay.
there. And the other one, Tiny Cohen, lived in the one south of Veronica's. Tiny Cohen was, about 6'3".
oh, really?
Well, I think that's why they called him Tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Well,
was a
I
nice
think there was a
man.
young
Well,
family
is it
there.
where he lived, then the Sanders lived there?
Sanders lived across the street, and it was fenced in behind Mom and Dad's and down Devil's Cave,
Oh,
and there were wonderful bushes of, raspberries, and I used to pick raspberries down that Devil's Cave, and, make pies, oh, they were good, and they tore all those out. You can't tell they were there. And every once in a while, you'd look in the backyard and there'd be a herd of cattle going across the backyard because some kid had gone through and left the fence open.
And Loris, we have a picture of a log cabin that was, built by the Scott family, that supposedly is in the Mockingbird Hill area,
I know.
and that he had a government land grant and built.
My mother was a Blakeney.
Blakeney's were early.
And you wanted to hear something about Korea, didn't you?
Yeah, we're gonna talk about
We're gonna
some
talk
war
about-
history too.
What war history? I didn't have it.
Oh, war history. Were you in the Revolutionary War?
I think it was right after that.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't before that.
Yeah, well, go ahead and tell us a little bit about
I was
war
in
history.
I was stationed in Japan. I quit school, went in silvers, because I didn't like school. And I was stationed in Japan. While I was in Japan, I was with the 27th Infantry Regiment, 25th Division. And while we was there, before we went to Korea, our company, I was in Company H, 22nd Infantry Regiment. And, we adopted some, orphanage, take care of, orphans home, orphans in the home when we stayed in Osaka, Japan. But anyway, right after that, then, I went to Korea. We left July the 10th, 1950. And, went to Korea. I had a eye injury just above my eye from a shell blast, the rock fragmentation. Some of the, like I had one buddy got shot right between the eyes. He was in the same foxhole with me. He was from Champaign. And got seasick on the ship like everybody else.
Said he joined the army because he didn't want to be on the water. First thing they did was put him on a
Machine
ship.
gunner.
Yeah, I was.
You were a machine gunner?
A cool machine gun, yeah.
Okay.
Now,
They sell them with tripod.
where were you when you disappeared?
Huh?
Where were you when you disappeared?
He didn't know.
I was at church this Sunday that your parents heard that you were missing. And it was just terrible.
Well, that's probably right after I got injured, and I wasn't right to them or nothing, because they told me writing them things in, but I was in the hospital for a while. Yeah, they talking about that.
Terrible to come up on Sunday and he's missing and everyone's at church and everybody knows.
Yeah, I
him.
really don't know too much about that.
Vietnam, man.
Well, it could have been the injury, because I was pretty young.
You wanna say something?
Well, they're not done yet.
Bud, they're not done yet with
I know.
Kareem. He has, he's got hearing aids,
I'm
but
trying
he
to
can't
talk
hear.
then so I don't have to.
Okay, Bud, tell us your war history
Okay,
too.
just make it short. I joined the army in 1951.
Okay.
So, I went to Chicago, got my physical and everything, and then we went down to Kentucky for the training, about 16 weeks, I think it was. And after that, they sent our outfit to Germany. So I was over there for about a year. Just training stuff, I got tired of it. So I went to my captain, and I said, I wanna go to Korea. So I went over there, and we shipped out of Seattle to Japan. We stayed there a little bit, and then we went to Korea, and I was with the 45th Infantry. Right there at the BAR 60 was what.
Yeah, right.
And, like him, he got in a lot of combat, but I never seen a lot of combat. But I got shot at a few times and got killed pretty close. But over there it was so cold. And you lived in trenches.
Yeah, you got 20, 30 below.
No heat. Below zero. And, well, that's the way it was. And the main thing I didn't like to go out on patrols, which I went out on long patrol out in enemy territory, you know. And another thing I hate to do, they sent 2 guys out in the main line for outposts. You know, if something happened out there, you could call back to the main line and tell them there was something coming. And for something coming, I wouldn't be here today, because 2 guys fighting over and present country. That's the way it goes. That's all I can say about that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think the young people need to know what war's about, because they think it's a game. They play video games and they think it's a game. I think they need to know
It's not
its
a game.
history.
It's
not a game.
It is not a game.
And the reason we
But
have this
but I understand
history
what you're saying.
is because you guys went,
Yeah.
all of you.
You know, before I joined, I told my mom I was going to Danville to get a job, you know, and so I went to Danville. Come back home, she said, "Did you find a job?" I said, "Yeah." 3 years in the US Army.
Oh, how old were you, Bud, when you enlisted?
Uh-huh.
How old were you when you enlisted?
19.
19, okay. And 60, how old were you?
I was 20, I think.
20.
19 or 20.
Wow.
18.
Well, 60 had a lot
How about
worse than I
Ron?
did, you know.
You didn't ask him.
Pardon me?
I said, you didn't ask him.
Well,
Yeah,
just a
just
little
talk
bit
to
later,
him.
we're gonna get to.
Oh, he's
that
later,
one.
excuse me.
Did anybody, Cliff and Jerry, did you have anything to say about?
The service? Well, I joined the reserves, I think in 1957, I think it was. And I was in it 6 years. And the only thing I was surprised, I wasn't supposed to come home, but I got 3 passes. Because 2 of them was because I fired expert on the rifle range. And a lot of guys hated me for that, because I got passes and they didn't.
Yeah, right.
But anyway, I don't know how I did it, because I never fired weapons that often before. But we was out on, camped out, we had to go out in a week and camp out in the woods. And one of the corporals or whatever he was come and looked for me. We had our tents up. And he found me, he says, "Get your gear, you're going back in." I says, "For what?" He said, "You'll find out." I thought, uh-oh, what do I do now? But when we got back into the barracks, he said, get your shower and get your uniform on." He said, "You're going to the parade."
Right.
And what it was, I got to meet the general of Fort Underwood. He passed out, put my badge on, and shook my hand. But I said, I don't know how I ever did it, because I don't really fire a weapon that much, but I took it. That's about my only experience.
Bud, you got to march,
Huh?
you got to march in a parade for Eisenhower.
Yeah, I was the tallest one, I got second to your place. Going to Germany,
So you marched in the parade when Eisenhower was there?
yeah.
Cool.
That's great.
Jerry, were you in the service?
We were in the National Guard.
You were in the National Guard. Well, that's important too.
6 long years.
For 6 years, wow. Well, let's talk about your experience then,
You're stuck in the middle.
I went in, I was 18, went in, and ended up in Kentucky, and then went to Fort, in Georgia, and there was Signal Corps. I was master in Signal Corps, and it was supposed to, everybody signed up for Germany. There was 3 of us, myself, and a guy who lives in Decatur, and another kid. We went Asia.
Asia.
Where's that in
So-
Germany?
Huh? We didn't go to Germany.
Oh.
There was 3 of us, they sent over there, and everybody else went to Germany.
Oh.
So, so I was in Thailand, Okinawa, Vietnam, Japan, Korea, Guam, Wake, Formosa. What it was a specialist in Signal Corps. And they would come in at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, pick us up on a C-130 plane, drop us off in the jungle.
Parachuting?
And we sat in the jungle and we monitored everybody in Asia, from the Ho Chi Minh Trail to everything. So we was over there one day and I almost got court-martialed. I broke communications, which you do not do. But I said, total wilderness. So I said, well, we've been here so long, we ran out of sea rations. That's what we ate. And I told him where I was at. I didn't didn't know where I was at, but I mean, I told them. And they said, oh, we forgot about you.
Oh.
We'll come and get you in a couple weeks.
Oh.
Couple weeks.
And okay, it's a couple of days, but you know, they told us a couple of weeks, well, what were we gonna eat? So I had this, Asian, we called him, pardon every expression, we called him Gooks. Jumped a concertina wire and it was coming up to my area. Now, what do you do? My A1 was sitting back in the back. I couldn't get to it. So he got a fire extinguisher in the face. He jumped a concertina wire and left. And so, as far as I know, he was okay, but he got scared. And so I was over there for, over 18 months, and in and out. And then they tried to, I tried to extend, because they let you out early. They wouldn't let me extend. So they sent me back to Fort Gordon, Georgia, drill sergeant for 6 months. That was the worst duty I ever had. And the reason I say that is because I'd be training people,
Yeah.
because I knew where they was going.
Right.
They was gonna ship them over there, and I'd never see them again or whatever, so. It wasn't a very exactly pleasant experience. But the good Lord got me back, and, plus others, but it's just,
Yeah.
and you can't, and these guys all know, you can't, there's things you cannot say, because you wouldn't believe me. And so just leave it quiet, you know.